Hey, so today I'm gonna break down and do a bit of a review of the Thrall Untamed method barbell medicine free program. It's a 12-week program. It's named a 12-week program, but it's actually a 13-week program, and you could call it actually a 15-week program. So God knows why it's called a 12-week program, but let's move on and start talking about the program. So let's have a look at it, the sheets. Now this is a really well-designed program in terms of it's got everything that you need here. You don't need to look anywhere else online for information that could help you with this program, except maybe this breakdown video. So the introductory video is where I got the majority of this information from about the program. It's worth watching. Give it a watch. Just fast forward the bits that are not helpful, but it's worth a watch. The help information sheet. This gives you all the information about all the different training principles, concepts that are in the sheet. Read it. Spend some time, learn about as many reps as possible, about intensity, substitutions, RP, and all of that. But if you know all that already, then skip it. But if you have no idea what my reps are or what an RP scale is, then number one, this program probably isn't for you. And number two, you really should just read this sheet first. It won't take you a long time. Nutrition log, that's down to you, that's optional. This is a sheet with all the exercises. It's got click on them, it will take you to an unlisted YouTube video where you could watch the tutorial on how to perform it. Fantastic, I'm really happy to see that, that's great. This is a very important sheet. This is a calculator to calculate your 1 rep max as well as the weights for the RP and reps. We'll talk more about that later, but for now we'll skip it. Analysis sheet, overview, skip. Nothing that interesting on those sheets. Let's have a look at my breakdown on the program first. So we got 4 days a week. We train 4 days a week, 13 weeks, technically 13 weeks. The day one is really focusing on the main lifts, the squat and touch and go bench, as well as a pin press, overhead pin press set at different levels: forehead, chin, shoulder, chest, and feet up bench press. So day two is focusing on your deadlift, main lift, as well as some light variations for the squat and the bench press, the squat and the bench press, doing tempo work, pin pressing, pause work. Day three is maximal overloading. For the bench press, you've got your 2-inch board press, floor press, slingshot press, and reverse bands, as well as doing some dynamic effort-based stuff for the squat. You've got safety squat bar, SSB stands for safety squat bar. Bands will change. You've got a 2-second pause with the safety squat bar, and you've got a pin press. So day three is quite a good day, actually. I enjoyed that. I did try this program for 5 weeks and then stopped. I just wanted to test out at least half of it. I couldn't be bothered to go all the way to 6 weeks because it's technically not my style of training, but I at least wanted to test it out for a few weeks. So day four is really the variation for your deadlift, where you're doing wide grip RDLs, stiff leg deadlifts, deficit deadlifts, itchy nose, 2-second pause press, as well as some bench work where you're just changing the grip, changing the height, and you're doing some lat back training with barbell rows, dumbbell rows, lat pull downs. So that's a pretty interesting day, and that's basically how it works. That's the concept. The exercises, your lifts are split into 3 categories: your main lifts, which is your squat, your bench, your deadlift; your supplementary exercises, which are exercises that help the main lifts. They're very close to the main lifts. They're variations of the main lifts. And third movements are less important to the main lift and to your powerlifting, but they're still there to provide additional effort, additional workload to help you with sticking points, become stronger, and isolate some muscle groups to build strength and mass. So this is the overview of the program. We got week 1 to 3. Week 1 is a low stress week, doing sets of 8 for your main lift, sets of 10 for your supplementary, and on the third lift you're doing myo reps. Again, I refer you back to the help and information sheet. It explains what the myo reps are and how to use them for this program. I use a different concept for my activation set. I choose 12 reps at an RP of 8.5, and then I do 5 drop-off sets with about 5 deep breaths in between each set until basically I do about 2 or 3 reps and just can't do. That's the maximum. I might do up down to 8 drop sets, but I kind of go until I can't really lift any more than 3 reps. But they have their own system, so follow the Untamed method system. And during the week 1 to 6, you're doing a lot of developmental work as well as low stress work. So 4 to 6 is sets of 6, relatively low RPs and percentages, intensity percentages. You're doing sets of 8 for your supplementary work, and then for your third lifts, you're doing as many reps as possible in 6 minutes, which could be probably 25 to 30 reps, I reckon, when you train like this. But again, follow the help and information sheet and what they tell you to do. But that's what I would do. So week 6 is a low stress week, which means it backs off a bit, reduces the intensity, and tries to help you rest and recover before you begin the next training block, which is week 7 to 9, which has developmental work and specialization work. So you do a heavy single, RP of 7 to 8, you do your sets of 5 to 6 sets of 5 from medium submaximal intensity, so 70 to 75% of your 1 rep max. You do sets of 5 for your supplementary. Now the final set for each one, you can see for each week, you take the weight that you did the set before, reduce it by anywhere from 5 to 10%, and then go for it. So the third movements, you do sets of 7 and 8 at pretty low RPs. Okay, 10 to 13, you do a heavy single each week at an RP of about 8. You do 1 set of 4 from 10 to 12, 10 to 11, and that's at an RP of 9, so that's quite heavy. And then you do 4 sets of 4 from week 10 to 11 at 77 to 80% of your 1 rep max intensity. And week 12 to 13, you do 1 set of 1 heavy single, 4 sets of 4. Week 13, 1 heavy single. You do 1 set of 3 at an RP of 9, which is quite heavy. And you take the weight that you did for that heavy triple, reduce it by 10% and do 3 sets of 2 for that. For the supplementary work, you're doing sets of 3 to 4 at RPs of 7 to 8, 7 to 9, and a heavy single. And then for the third movements, you're doing sets of 5 and sets of 6 at pretty much the same RP you had been doing the previous few weeks, anywhere between 7 to 8. And then week 14, you can do a low stress week, back off a deload, and then week 15, you can chase your new PR. That's what I would do. So let's go to have a look at it. Let's just do an overview. I will keep this information in here. Nope, I will change it. Okay, let's just take out the weights and leave the RP in. So let's have a look at the sheet first. So on the left is the number of sets you need to do. On the right is the RP. So that's 8 reps at an RP of 6, and 8 at 7, 8 at 8, and then 65% for 8 reps. So let's have a look at how we're going to work out the weight. What do we do? Well, you need to go to the calculator sheet. You need to find a weight that you can do for 8 reps at an RP of 6 first. First thing you need to do is find out what your 1 rep max is. So what I'm going to do is, let's say I did an RP of 9, or let's say RP of 9. For 2 reps, I did 400 pounds. So there we go. Just put that in there, and then it calculates your 1 rep max, which is 438 pounds. So based on the previous information, I now need to find a weight that at an RP of 6 that I can do for 8 reps. Now it doesn't have 6, which is really fucking stupid if you think about it. So let's say 6.5. Okay, so we go 6.5 at 8, so 304 pounds. We're going to put 304 pounds as our first one. Okay, and then we need to find a weight at 8 reps for an RP of 7. 8 reps at an RP of 7. So we go back to the calculator sheet. 8 reps at an RPE of 7, so that's just 1 up, so that's 310 pounds. So we go back, put 310 in, and then we go to the next one, 8 reps at an RP of 8, so this is getting heavy now. Go back to the calculator. So here, 324 pounds, so we go back, 324 pounds. So there we go, that's that information. Now to calculate this is what I did. It might not be technically correct, but what I did is, this is an intensity of 69 at 304 pounds. So I basically just put in a weight of about 295 pounds, 290 pounds. But we'll talk more about that in a minute. And there we go. So that's how you do that. And it's calculated my new estimated 1 rep max. Let's go to the calculator now. Originally it said it was 438. Here it says it's 443, so it's actually less than what it originally calculated based on that day's information. So average intensity 69, 32 reps, and that's the total tonnage that you've lifted in that session. Take 3 to 5 minutes rest between each working set, okay, and you need to fill that information in for all the exercises, including the pin press for the myo reps. So remember, read that help sheet, find out what the fuck a myo rep is, and follow what they recommend. This is the easy part. This is the difficult part. So fill in the sheet. My advice how I did this is I filled in the sheet the night before, took a picture on my phone, screenshotted it, and then the next day I knew what weight I needed to do when I was in the gym. That's how I did it. Some people might have a training log. You just write this information in the spreadsheet, write it into your training log, take it to the gym the next day. So week 2, let's skip that. Okay, let's actually come back to this. So here we go. So same as before, RPE. Now what you might want to do is, this is, let me check something. So every week it gives you your estimated 1 rep max based on what you put in that session. So you might want to update your 1 rep max on a weekly basis. For example, if it said that on the calculator sheet it's 438, but in week 2 it's actually 443, I might change that on the calculator sheet so that I'm working off a lower weight based on what I lifted that week. So just work on that final session's estimated 1 rep max for that exercise, and just use that maybe instead of the one that's calculated in the first time you've used this sheet, if that makes sense. Okay, so here we go. For example, on this one, it says you need to do the final set for a total of 16 reps at 65% of your 1 rep max. It's getting a bit hot in here. What you can do is maybe makes sense to do 2 sets of 8. That's what I would do. Someone might want to do 1 set of 10, 1 set of 6, but as long as you do the 16 reps at 65%. Now, how I calculated this, I was a bit lazy. All I did was I know that for the first set it was a 69% intensity at 304, so I'm just going to put in 290 and it will come up with 65%. Or if I put 295, I'm looking at that, 67%. Okay, so it's just going to be a little bit less. And then that way, or alternatively, you can manually calculate it using your estimated 1 rep max, for example. So we go M round, take 438 times 0.65, and then round to the nearest 5 because we're doing pounds, and it will give you 285. So it's actually said 285 based on that 1 rep max and that intensity. So up to you how you want to do it, but that's how I did it. I just basically kept going down until I got the intensity of 65%. And then I just put in the RP once I finished the workout. I came back home, entered what RP it felt like in there, just as an FYI for me. So let's keep going. Same principle applies for all these sheets. You have to fill everything in, including the supplementary exercises, the third movements, as they're also referred to. A bit confusing because in the video it refers to things differently to what they're referred to in the spreadsheet. So a little bit confusing, this program. It took me a while to get used to this spreadsheet. I'm not a fan of this spreadsheet, actually. It's too busy, it's too messy, there's too much going on. It's a typical sort of overthinker spreadsheet. That's what I would call it. So what we're going to do now is, you can see on week 13, there are some other weeks as well where this principle applies that I'm going to talk about now. So you do 1 set 8, 3 reps at an RPE 9, and then you take that weight that you did for 3 reps at an RPE 9, reduce it by 5 to 10% in intensity, and do 2 sets of 3. So for example, that would be here and that would be here. Okay, so what could I do to what I did is I basically, so this was at an intensity of 82%. So I want to do maybe about 5% less, not 10%. So I'm going to put in a number of about 310 pounds. Nope, 300. Okay, so that's roughly about 5% less that's how I would calculate it. I just use this intensity calculator and just keep going down until I get to the percentage intensity that I'm looking for. So if you wanted that just to prove, you can see minus that, it's 5%. So I did say I wanted to do 5% less just to prove that the maths is right. Alternatively, you can just take 5% of that, it's 78, and you can do what I showed you earlier, where you just take your 1 rep max, you divide it by 0.78, round it to the nearest 5, and then that will be the weight that you use. It's up to you which way you want to do it, but I did it this way. I just kept going down until I got to 78%, and then I do that weight for that as well, and make sure I update that, and then I'll put in the RPE in later based on what I felt it was like. So there we go. That's how I did that. Make sure that you keep to the rest period intervals, and do follow everything that it says for the supplementary lifts when there are supplementary exercises to do. It says here GPP, sorry, that's my dyslexia kicking in there. P and B's, always mixing those shit up. It says in this sheet, it explains it right here. So this is something to take into consideration. Please do read all of this. I'm not going to sit here and read it out for you, because you should be able to read this, okay? But this explains what GPP is, and it's very simple, very straightforward. You don't need me to explain it, because they've done a great job at explaining it right here. So I'm not going to explain that to you, but I will advise you to and refer you to that sheet, and you can read it right there, and that will clear up any confusion as what the fuck that means. So there we go, and then week 13 we're done, and then week 14 I'd take a deload, and week 15 I'd chase some new PRs, and then that's how you use this program. Now, personal thought time to reflect on it and just talk a bit about it. So this isn't a type of program I would follow for a few reasons. The first reason is it's too busy, it's too chaotic. I mean, I follow the KISS analogy, keep it simple, stupid. This program just looks like Alan's put all the different training principles, protocols and concepts into a big bowl, mixed it together and just puked it onto a spreadsheet. There is no real structure or running theme in this program. It's very complicated. There's too much going on. There's too much pressing work and not enough squatting. There's too much change. There's way too much variation. I always believe that you have to perform an exercise, even if it's like a close grip bench press or or a 3-second pause squat. You need to perform it a few times, at least 4 or 5 times, maybe a bit more, on a per session basis, to actually be able to create some sort of strength adaptation and growth on that exercise. But sometimes in this program you're changing it very frequently, that it doesn't allow you enough time to build up a strength adaptation and properly wax the technique for that 3-second pause. I see some people who are advanced lifters who still can't do pause squats properly, because they'll do week 1 pause squat, week 2 banded squat, week 3 good mornings, week 4 they'll do front squats, and then week 5 they might come back to a 2-second, 3-second pause. But they're not allowing themselves enough time to develop the technique, the pause strategy, and create that mind-muscle connection. So it's a bit chaotic, this program. Secondly, the spreadsheet looks like it's designed from someone out of MIT. It's just way too complicated. I'm not a fan of these fiddly spreadsheets. It's just trying to show off, really. And normally people do this when they're charging you for it, to make it look more fancy so that they can put a price tag on it. But I prefer the sort of Jim Wendler style, keeping it simple programs where you just look at it, do a bit of reading, and everything just kind of flows nicely. The spreadsheet looks clean, it's very organized. You don't have to fucking zoom out to like 20% to actually be able to see the whole sodding program. So I'm not a fan of the spreadsheet either. But what I do like about this program is firstly the help and information sheet. It's very well worded, it's accurate, it's to the point, and it gives you all the information you need to understand the training principles, protocols and concepts. So I like that, because a lot of programs out there, they say, do Spodo 330 in the program, but they have no reference to what they're talking about. Well, maybe some advanced lifters will understand that and see that, but some other people will have no idea what the hell that means and what that training concept actually is, or what that exercise is, which leads me to my next point. I really like the fact that there's some links to some unlisted, which is great. So that's only if you've got the link, unlisted demonstration exercise video tutorials, which is again very helpful. I like the nutrition log. It's a good idea. Some people are lazy, including myself, at tracking my macros and my calories and what I'm consuming on a daily basis. And I like the calculator. It's well designed. It's very simple. It's all on one sheet. I like that. But this, I don't like these sheets. I hate these type of sheets. There are some people out there that like graphs and charts and all this crap, but I mean, this isn't, oh, come on, this isn't, you know, we're not doing a doctorate here. This is a powerlifting. We don't need this crap. And the overview sheet, I just didn't even bother looking at, to be honest. But it does have some good stuff as well at the back here. So the program skeleton, that's very similar to my notes. Just kind of telling you what block type it is, what you're doing, what day it is, what week it is, what the training principles you're going to be doing that day. This is useful. So you have an overview of what you're doing, because obviously the sheets are crap. You have to zoom out to like 40% to see things properly. So this gives you an overview. You can look at this, write it down in your notebook, and you know what you're doing. And you can actually just screw the spreadsheet and just work off this. So anyway, I'll give this program a good 6, 7 out of 10. I mean, me personally, I would recommend doing the Calgary barbell program, which I'll include in the description below. I've done a tutorial for that. It's a much better program than this, and it's very similar. It's kind of for intermediate lifters, which I believe this program's for as well. And it's a far better program than this, far better, just miles better. So you might want to check that out as well, and then make the decision yourself which one you prefer to do. So thanks for watching this video. Like it if you enjoyed it. Comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe, turn on notifications to the channel so you don't miss anything. Have a great day. Keep lifting. Never give up.